Hey, how you doing? Hey, this is Admin from PlexGuide. So, yeah, we're going to do a quick video on PG drives. It's something that I've already done, but had to do again because my microphone wasn't on. So, I knew that it worked in the test run. But anyways, long story short, hey, if you have a chance, click the YouTube and, like, share the video. You always hear everybody say that, but it helps promote PlexGuide. But anyways, let's get to business. So right now, what you see in front of you is Ubuntu 16, and this works fine on 18. This is VMware. So this is just the easy way to demonstrate everything for you. I do everything through terminal window. And again, you can be running a VM in your house and you can be accessing terminal through, PuTTY or other means and methods to get to your virtual machine. So we're gonna go ahead and kick off PG drives. This is the unencrypted version. The team is working on an encrypted version behind the scenes. So we're gonna go ahead and just type PlexGuide. And there's the awesome menu. I need to switch editions from a previous test. And there we go. So at least you know that works. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna deploy a mountain system. And you're looking at this menu, you probably wonder what to pick. If you're used to a traditional traditional Plex drive, and you're pretty much gonna utilize this. Basically, this took us like a month to set up last year to figure it all out for you. Some of you may like this option still. We see it as kind of dated, but it is pretty stable and well known. You have PlexDrive 4 and 5. 4 doesn't work well with MB and uses the disk, and PlexDrive 5 uses the RAM, but it has stability issues at times and requires a lot of RAM. So the thing is, we came up with PGDrive in order to assist flicker rate with his super transfer. And you notice that there are two options right here. So you'll see PG move and super transfer 2. If you select PG move, basically this is utilizes your regular Google account. It uploads up to 750 gigs per day with the 9 megabit byte handicap for your upload, and to prevent the API ban. And then you have PlexDrive with Super Transfer 2, again, which Flicker Rate developed along with members of the team. And like I said, this man's a genius, but basically you're going to create multiple Google service accounts. And I know it's a little strange to explain it, but it utilizes basically like team drive accounts in a sense to upload all the stuff. If you look at the picture on the front of PlexGuide, let me see if I can load it up here. It'll basically give you a concept of what it is. Let's see right here. So basically these are like the service accounts that you see right here, and you see files uploading in a haphazard or somewhat structured manner, and they all hit team drive. Long story short is, if you're trying to get more than 750 gigs per day, the Bravo option B right here is your best bet. For most people that, for example, if you're just deploying Plex just to play, or you just got some small uploads here and there, PG Move is just easy to work with and stick with because it's very consistent. Super Transfer 2 has been stabilized quite a bit over time. I've seen it run for days on end with no issues. So it's really up to you on your experience levels. And I do apologize trying to explain all this to you. Some of you may be fully aware of this, but for a new user, you just really don't know what to pick. So we're gonna deploy PG drive move, and we're gonna pick the unencrypted version. And the purpose here is just to show you how PG drives works. And we're gonna do the S2 afterwards, but we're not gonna fully do the super transfers, just to show you how to do the setup. So first what we're going to do is we're going to install rclone. This is usually the newest beta, and the reason for it is because right now a lot of these features are in the beta themselves. So if you have the regular rclone installed and you forget to do this, it's going to cause you problems. All right, and if you probably noticed on the screen, it did say like version 1.41. So if you're using something older than that, again, it's just going to cause you a bunch of problems. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to configure rclone right here, and let's see if we can get our instructions here. So we're going to go to wiki, and again, we've been working hard to update the wiki for you. It's been through a lot of transformations, but we've kind of finally got it down. If you want to look at this, you're going to go to PGDrive, and this has basic information on everything. If you scroll down, this is not fully updated, but it's basically everything that's on the left. Right now there's 3 of the 6, so we just got to put the rest up there. So I'm going to go to PGDrive and scroll down here. You notice there's the menu option. So what we got to do is we got to follow these directions. So for PG Move, it's only utilizing your Google Drive, so you don't have to set up a team drive or anything like that. So we're going to follow these very instructions right here. So you notice the first thing it does, it says type N, and you notice it's all in red to make it a little bit easier for you. And then next thing you know, you're going to click is G Drive. So go ahead and click G Drive. And then it's going to ask me what type of storage I want. As of right now, it's number 11, but the numbers can change on you. It's just better to type drive. And this is something that I have not known for months. I always kept looking for the numbers. So just do this to keep your sanity. For this, you don't need to enter your client ID or secret. Before, we always recommended for people to do this, but it is due to our limited understanding. I heard if you are a high performance user, it does help rclone a little bit if you do put your own client ID and password. But the process is not difficult, but can be a little painful at times. So it's up to you if you want to put this in or not. So as of right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and hit enter. And then I got client secret, just go ahead and hit enter. And then you notice right here, it says scope. We always did tell people to put 1 before, but I tested it out. Guess what you can do? You just press enter and enter and enter. So right now it's gonna ask if you wanna use auto config. Auto config, if you're using just a terminal window and you have no GUI interface, again, for people that are new too, do not do yes, because it's a little confusing. It says yes if not sure, and when you pick that and you're like in a pure terminal window like this, nothing comes up. You have to close it out and go back in. So if you always pick no, no is your best bet. If you're in a GUI interface like this, usually it pops up anyways. So we're gonna go ahead and put no. And then it's gonna ask for a verification code. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this. And I'm just gonna go ahead and pop it in. Then you're gonna go ahead and sign into your account and allow. And you ask why does Google do this instead of just logging it? It's just more secure. It prevents people from like brute forcing your password and all that other stuff. It's something I really didn't understand when I first had to do this way back in the day. It's going to ask you to configure this as a team drive. You're going to select no. Remember, you're only doing PG Move, and if anytime you do G Drive for us right here, you're always going to pick no. If you pick yes, well, it's not going to work. Yes. And you think I'm joking about this, but the reason I say this is because people come on our forums or Discord, and we try to help them as best as we can, but when we basically troubleshoot, you can tell who didn't read or who didn't watch the videos, and I don't blame them. I'm usually one of the kind of people to just hurry up and get things done. All right, so next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna deploy PGDrive. So anytime you decide to go back in here and make changes, make sure you always deploy this right here. Basically, it's gonna look for G Drive specifically and T Drive, and then it'll deploy Union FS. If those are not there, it will yell at you, and I will show you afterwards as proof of concept. So we're gonna go ahead and do PGDrive. And if you see this right here, just ignore. Anytime you see that ignore, it means ignore it. Because basically the services are not running, they never existed. But in the future they would exist, so it won't be read. So I say that because we've had people, sometimes when they have problems, they'll screenshot this and send it to us, not really realizing what it is. And I don't blame them. Okay, so before I go on, let's check here on what's going on. So let's see if we can see our drive. So the easiest way to do this is LSLA, or like people like to call Lisa. And we're gonna do G Drive, and we should hopefully get the Google Drive. There we go. So you notice I got a bunch of images. This is, again, this is my test Google Drive, so this means that it works. If you see nothing coming up, it means you didn't hook it up right. So it's kind of hard to do, but if you didn't paste the API key in, you won't see anything. If you don't have anything in your Google Drive, you can I would recommend for you to drop something in there so you can see if you see something you want to. So right now we only set up G drive, so we shouldn't see anything in T drive for team drive. So if I type lsla mount T drive, see, nothing there. So these are just generic folders that are created for you. But again, there's nothing there physically. Okay, so that's a good sign. So the next thing we have to do is make sure Union FS is working. You're like, well, I only deploy one drive. Why do I need Union FS? So Union FS is basically the program that merges all your drives together. So what you don't realize is when your stuff downloads to your computer, it's gonna, in reality, it goes to here, ls mount move. So right now, when stuff downloads, it hits Union FS, mount Union FS, and mount Union FS is basically composed of multiple drives. And the basic way to show you that, and again, I hope you have some experience or some kind of grasp of what I'm talking about here. Let's see, sudo nano. I always type sudo out of habit. Systemd system union fs service. So basically, we're gonna go look at what it's deploying here. So it'll let you know. So basically, when this service started up, it basically mounted. It took mount move, which you saw earlier, which is your local drive, like on your computer, and it took mount G drive. You see right here for mount move, it says read write. So that means mount move is read and writable. Mount G drive will have a RO, and you're like, well, why would I make my G drive read only? Well, the reason is because sonar and radar, when you try to hook them up to mount Union, let's say you hook it up to mount G drive, right? Well, the problem is there's no way to upload because the way we're mounting this whole thing, it's read only. So even if you don't make it read only, it's read only. If you double PlexGuide, it's read only. So what we do is we make kind of like a fake or a shadow drive, whatever you want to call it, an illusionary drive. So mount Union FS is not a real drive, but this is what you need to pay attention to. So when files hit mount Union FS, because G drive is read only, it can't go there. So by default, it goes to mount move. So sometimes when people are downloading stuff, they're like, where did my files go? I can't tell where it went. It went to mount move. And let's see if we can do a quick test. So if I do touch, I don't know, let's go to mount move. Mount Union FS. Okay, so if I do touch corn, no, let's see, zcorn txt2, right, just for the heck of it. Now, if I type lsla, you'll notice that it's here, right? So that's a good thing. But in reality, it's really sitting in mount move. So if we go to cd mount move, lsla, and knock on wood, there it is. You notice how all the other files aren't there? Because this is actually Google Drive. Now, the reason this file is still sitting here is because guess what we didn't do? We didn't deploy the move service. So let's go ahead and deploy that. So I just wanted to kind of show you some stuff. Oh, and another tip too, if you're having issues and you're deploying things, make sure you're not sitting in the folder itself. So, because if you sit in the folder itself and you try to deploy the services, they don't work. It's like being inside of a folder and you try to delete itself. You know how Windows usually gives you errors. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do deploy mount system, and we're gonna do PGDrive and here, and then we're gonna do deploy move. So basically this deployed the drive for you. This deploys the service. So if you forget this or you don't care about uploading, but nothing happens. Everything's just gonna stack up to your mount move and your hard drive's gonna get full and you're gonna get pissed. So make sure you deploy move, and later on I'm gonna do some kind of checker kind of to warn you. So right now it basically installed the service for you. So technically, if I type systemctl status move, right now it's sleeping for 30 seconds. So after 30 seconds, that file is gonna move, the one we just created. Trying to think here. If you ever want to check any of these services, you can always do this, So for example, when we're looking at G drive, you see how it says active running, there's the command, so that's always a good thing. If you need to break out of it, you always press Control-C. Okay, so let's see if anything moved yet. Nope. Okay, probably it did. It says sleep 300 now. LSA mount move. you see how the file's gone now? So right now, it should have went to Google Drive. It may take a second to show up for PG drives, but you notice that, well, it basically moved. So now it's sitting on your Google Drive. This does take maybe a minute or two to refresh. So we'll see. Yeah, so right now it's not there right now. But eventually, I'll say within about a minute to 2 minutes, it will show up. So long story short, I just wanted to show you that it works. If you do have time, we're going to go ahead and do the super transfer setup also. And again, if you this is all you care about, but hey, why not? You learn more, right? So we're not installing super transfer per se, we're just setting it up. Super transfer is a little bit more involved and requires a separate video of itself. Okay, so you don't have to do this again because you're doing the same thing. You do have to configure it, and then you have to deploy it again, and then you have to deploy this. But this is not going to necessarily work properly. I mean, it will, but what we're going to go through is not going to work properly because I don't have the JSON files basically to test it out right now. And again, that's going to be a separate video itself. So right now, we need to put PGDrive. So in super transfer, if you scroll down these instructions right here, 1 second. Okay, so this is the same exact thing. The only thing is when you're finished this part, you're not going to exit. So now you're going to create PGDrive. So we're going to do new remote, and then we're going to call it PGDrive. And basically it's the exact same thing. The only thing that you're going to do different is you're basically going to say, yes, this is a Google Drive. So we're going to type drive, just like the instructions, and then press enter, 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 enter. And then I'll show you what it does when you're in the GUI interface. Now here's the funny thing. Sometimes it pops up, sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't, just go ahead and take this link right here and paste it in. And this is something you wouldn't do unless you are physically on the computer. So you notice here it didn't do the whole password. I mean it didn't do the whole key thing. You notice it just worked. Okay, so configure as team drive, yes. So this is important right here. You're not going to type. This kind of even got me, but it says enter team drive ID. It's #1. So make sure that when you're in your Google Drive, let's say you have multiple team drives, you do have to make sure that it's going to go to the right one that you want. Flickr rate was very good about pointing that out. So if I go to drivegoogle.com and I go to team drives right here, where you can find the ID is, let's see, you see Google's changed up everything. So you notice that this matches, that matches, and then this matches up here. So that's where you always get your team drive ID. So for here, you're just gonna type #1 because that's what it is. And then yes. And then we're gonna quit. And you're like, hey, that's it, right? Nope, you gotta make sure to do this again, because if you don't, the PGDrive drive itself will never start. So you gotta deploy it. And you notice, so right now what it's doing is it's like you said, it's paying attention to PGDrive right now. So it's going to PGDrive. Now it's checking G-Drive and then Union FS. And you don't have to worry about Union FS messing up because it rebuilds itself for you according to the situation that you set up. So PGDrive deployed. When you launch this, it knows that you're using super transfer. So long story short, it'll disable move for you. So let me go to exit. And the reason is because we just want to make sure everything's working. So if I type sudo system ctl status tdrive, and there you go. You notice it's all working. And then same thing for G-Drive. It should be working too. Yep. So Control-C to get out of it. And then just to make sure, just for shits and giggles, make sure that Union FS is working. Because if it's not, you're going to be pissed off. Now, this might confuse you. You'll be like, it exited. No, don't worry about it. It's just how the Union FS service works. As long as you got the green, and then you see this down here, it says started, you're good to go. And so if I type ls la mount Union FS, you see right there? And you notice there's our Z-corn. Remember that we did earlier? But just just to make sure we're not going crazy. It's not in mount move. So it's gone. But you notice now it showed up in Google Drive. So what this does is this basically merges your local drive, your Google Drive, and your Team Drive. Now the question you may ask is, do I need to configure G Drive? You don't have to, but if you don't, you can't back anything up because our cron jobs and everything that we do go to your G Drive. It's a nightmare to make it go to your Team Drive because you could have multiple ones and there's multiple things that could be going on and it's a lot of switching back and forth. We just recommend that you just set up both. And then anyways, if you have any videos that ever go to your Google Drive, they just kind of merge together and just work out of the box for you. And you notice the amount of work was pretty simple. So, trying to think here. Let's look at the command line for you. So sudo nano systemd system. It's funny, like I do this all the time and you still forget stuff. It's like, what am I doing? UnionFS service. And you notice here is that it will have the T drive in here. See, T drive, G drive, and it should have the mount move. See? So basically when you launch the script over and over again, it adapts itself accordingly. So when people say they have issues, I can't tell you why. I just know that it works. But usually the biggest issue is if you're sitting inside the folder itself and then you launch it, as I mentioned earlier. And then also this is videos right now is for 5.0741 beta 1. 5.073 should be good, but anything below that, I would recommend that you update. Not 701, sorry. 8.4. Anyways, I think you get the idea. Just be on the latest one and you'll be okay. Okay, so now let's look at our Team Drive, LSLA. So I shouldn't see anything in there because it's basically empty. LSLA mount T drive. See, nothing in there. Why? Because there's nothing in here. So if I go new folder, I create this, it won't. It shouldn't show up right away. Again, it still takes a minute or two. But let me see if I can expedite it. T drive. There we go. See, there's the untitled folder, and there's the untitled folder there. So we know it's working. Is our G drive still working? That's what you want to check. Mount G drive. And what do you know? It's still working. Awesome, right? And again, this still takes a minute to show up. Like I said, I forced it. So if I force start UnionFS, we should see that untitled folder. I don't know. This might be a can of worms here if I do this. And one of the biggest struggles when you start with Ubuntu is not the coding or writing or whatever you're doing. It's playing with the stupid mounts. Because the more you're used to Windows, the worse it is for you when you use Linux. Because you're like, hey, it should just work. Nope. You gotta write a whole bunch of stuff to make everything work. But I do give credit to Linux that when you do set it up correctly, it's very consistent. And it works fairly well. Okay? So if I... see, LSLA mount UnionFS, we should see the untitled folder there. See? So there's untitled folder, there's our zcorn. I think you get the idea. So that's the whole purpose of this video. It's just to give you some insight, some understanding. If you want to learn about it a little bit, you can if you look at our roles. Because sometimes I don't think people look at GitHub. I know I honestly didn't in the past because it's very confusing. But if you ever want to look at this stuff, just go to roles and then scroll down to PGDrives. And this is where you can see everything. So there's the tasks that run down that you noticed earlier. It's just to see, do this, do that, move that. So if you're ever interested, you can study it. You can make modifications on your local, like when you download PlexGuide, you can modify it and then relaunch it and it'll work with your modifications. You notice that the T drive here, you see how it has all the stuff set up for you. So this is where you can go to check it out. So anyways, you should see a globe stalking you right now. If you can go ahead and click that, click subscribe, just highlight over it. It basically helps us. So, if you do care about PlexGuide, because we're a very freelance project, the simple things from like starting the project, forking it, watching it, and definitely clicking that globe for subscriptions does help a lot, because every time you do that, it basically feeds into the whole box saying that, hey, this is actually useful. If you don't, well, we don't really get much credit for it. But we do hope to see you on PlexGuide. If you do have questions, please utilize our forum. And then if you have, you can always stop by our Discord right here. We have a lot of friendly members. This community is basically one that really does care about you. So again, the orange globe should be showing up now. So I forgot it's only 20 seconds out. All right, other than that, I appreciate your time. Thank you.